Hello, this is Ross Bliley from the podcast Pigskin Tales. This podcast is sponsored by Sterling Soap Company. With products sold throughout 41 locations around the globe, Sterling Soap Company has a unique assortment of products to choose from for your loved one for the holidays. Handmade artisan soaps created by Roderick and Amanda Lovin since 2012, these products are affordable and provide great value. Act now and save on your shipping costs. If you purchase $75 or more, your shipping cost is free in the United States. Shop now online at sterlingsoap.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Yesterday's Sports on the Sports History Network. Today we'll have part 2 of the frustrating history of the New York Jets. Last week we discussed the years 1960 through 1969. After 3 winning seasons in a row, one of which included a Super Bowl victory over the Baltimore Colts, the 1970 season could not have gone any worse for the Jets. From the start, injuries plagued them. Matt Snell ruptured his Achilles tendon in Game 3, and Namath broke his wrist in Game 5. The Jets ended the season with 4 wins and 10 losses. Only 2 players, Winston Hill and John Elliott, made the Pro Bowl. Additionally, Snell never fully recovered from the injury. Although he continued for 3 more seasons, his career was essentially over. In a 1971 preseason game against the Lions, Joe Namath attempted to make a tackle after a fumble recovery by Detroit. He missed the tackle, and while lying on the ground, he was speared in the knee by a Lions linebacker. Namath required surgery and didn't play again until Week 11. Week 13 of that season was a memorable game for my brother and me because we went to Shea Stadium to see it. It was our first time witnessing an NFL game live and in person. The Jets defeated the Patriots 13-6. Rookie Jim Plunkett was the starting quarterback for the Patriots. Joe Namath played the entire game for the Jets, but threw only 12 passes. Rookie running back John Riggins carried the ball 24 times for 91 yards and scored the game's only touchdown. The Jets finished the season with a 6-8 record, and Winston Hill was the only Jets player to make the Pro Bowl. The Jets were 5-2 at the halfway point of the 1972 season, and hopes were high that they could secure a playoff spot as a wild card team. However, they lost 5 of their next 7 games, finishing the season at 7-7. Joe Namath was named Comeback Player of the Year and earned a spot in the Pro Bowl. Winston Hill and tight end Rich Castor also received Pro Bowl honors. 1973 began poorly, with Namath injuring his shoulder during a Week 2 victory against the Colts. He returned in Week 10, but by that point the Jets were out of playoff contention and finished the season with a 4-10 record. Only Winston Hill and receiver Jerome Barkham made it to the Pro Bowl. The Jets had a new coach in Charlie Winter, and Namath started all 14 games in 1974, earning his second Comeback Player of the Year award. Rich Castor was selected for the Pro Bowl. The Jets were 1-7 after 8 games, but won their next 6 to finish 7-7. Perhaps there was hope for 1975. The Jets began the 1975 season with 2 wins and 1 loss. However, they subsequently lost 10 of their next 11 games. Charlie Winter was fired as head coach after a 52-19 defeat to the Colts in Week 9. They also suffered a 43-0 loss to the Dolphins in Week 5. Interim coach Ken Shipp didn't perform much better, as the Jets fell to the Cardinals 37-6 in his first game. Fullback John Riggins and tight end Rich Castor both made the Pro Bowl. 1976 was a disaster for the Jets. Lou Holtz was the new coach, and he resigned before the final game of the season. The Jets suffered some humiliating losses: a 46-3 defeat against the Broncos, a 41-7 loss to the Patriots, and a 42-3 loss to the Bengals. They ended the season with a 3-11 record. 8 years prior, the Jets were world champions. Now, they had become the laughingstock of the NFL. Not a single player from the team made the Pro Bowl. The year 1977 began with a new coach and quarterback, yet the losing persisted. Walt Michaels took the role of head coach, while Richard Todd starred as the quarterback. Joe Namath played his final season with the Los Angeles Rams. The Jets experienced 3 shutouts during the season, ending with a 3-11 record for the 3rd consecutive year. For the 2nd year running, no Jets player made the Pro Bowl. The Jets showed improvement in 1978, finishing the season with an 8-8 record. Second-year receiver Wesley Walker earned a spot in the Pro Bowl and was named All-Pro. The Jets repeated their 8-8 record in 1979, with offensive tackle Marvin Powell also making the Pro Bowl and receiving All-Pro honors. After 2 consecutive 8-8 seasons, Jets fans held high hopes for 1980, but the team fell back into its losing ways, finishing with a disappointing 4-12 record. Marvin Powell was the only Jet selected to the Pro Bowl that year. The Jets kicked off the 1981 season with a 37-0 loss to Buffalo, followed by 2 additional losses. Same old Jets. But it wasn't the same old Jets after all. They won 10 of their next 13 games, finishing with a 10-5-1 record before losing to the Bills in the playoffs. This was the team's first winning season since 1969, and their renowned sack exchange defense led the league with 66 sacks. Center Joe Fields and Marvin Powell made the Pro Bowl, along with defensive ends Joe Klecko and Mark Gastineau, who both also earned All-Pro honors. The 1982 NFL season was abbreviated due to a players' strike. The Jets played 9 regular season games and 3 postseason games, finishing with an 8-4 record. 3 of their 4 losses were to the Miami Dolphins, who beat the Jets 14-0 in the AFC Championship game. Head coach Walt Michaels unexpectedly resigned just 17 days later and was succeeded by Joe Walton. Receiver Wesley Walker made the Pro Bowl along with running back Freeman McNeil, center Joe Fields, tackle Marvin Powell, and defensive end Mark Gastineau, who also received All-Pro honors. After 2 successful seasons in a row, Jets fans had high hopes for the 1983 season. However, they were disappointed once again, as the team finished with a 7-9 record. Marvin Powell and Joe Klecko were selected to the Pro Bowl, and Mark Gastineau not only made the Pro Bowl, was also an All-Pro. The 1984 Jets welcomed a new starting quarterback, Pat Ryan, after Richard Todd was traded to New Orleans. They also began playing at Giant Stadium, leaving Shea Stadium behind. However, the changes at quarterback and stadium did not affect their record, as the team finished with a 7-9 record once again. Freeman McNeil and Joe Klecko earned spots in the Pro Bowl, while Mark Gastineau was selected for both the Pro Bowl and All-Pro honors. That will conclude our podcast for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, and God bless.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com. Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, aka the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.